Dave here, how are you? I'm hoping we're streaming. Give me a second. Why isn't that coming up? We've got something missing here. Give me a second. I'll try and sort it out. I don't know why. Anyway, AV all good? Excellent. I don't know why it's not coming up. The chat isn't coming up in the corner. Give me a second. I'm going to have a quick look around and see why it isn't. Is that going to work? I don't know what's going on there. Well, there you go. The chat is not coming up in the corner. Let's leave it like that. I'll move this particular screen over and we'll get a whole lot more image come across. Dave, how are you? I'll flick this over here now. And we've got the full screen. That's how we're going to do it today. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Today is 4th of July in Australia. Now, I believe that's an eventful day for you guys in the States, which will happen tomorrow for you. All good. I hope you have a happy 4th of July. Let me see. Viewers projects from James and Bob. James has some resin pours and Bob has a way of storing his table saw blades. Now remember last week I was changing the blades around. I was doing some stuff with cutting took a rip blade out and I put the melamine blade in. And he saw that I was, putting the blades down in other places. If you click the video description below, if you click the little link below, you will see I've put a link in there for his little video he's done on how he stores his blades under the table saw. It's quite nice. Okay, so I will be doing the final bits on the setup of this resin pour and then the first pour of this little project. I'm only going to pour 900 ml at a time. The reason being, it's going to be, I don't want to pour the whole thing in one go. The particular resin I'm using, I would like to just create maybe a 5 to 10 millimeter pour across the bottom, and I'll explain why I'm going to be doing all of that. Now, an interesting point for those of you who live on the same latitude south as I do in Sydney, today's daylight will be 32 seconds longer than yesterday's, and the angle above the horizon at noon will be 33.4 degrees, which is higher than it was last week. It's going to get warmer for us soon. All right. Let's jump in and I'll show you what we've got sorted. Now I've got Bianca and Vicky watching as well. Okay, now the mold is here. This is the one we made last week. And I did knock that up there. I did make a mistake. Now you might remember, I was going to put the sides of the mold on the side, and then Ben piped up and said, Dave, those sides aren't going to be deep enough by the time you put it under there. And I agreed with him. I shouldn't have. Sorry, Ben. The reason being, now I have these screw heads underneath that are going to make the mold sit up, and I'll create a dip in the middle when the weight of everything goes on. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to use a piece of plywood underneath the mold, and I'll sit the mold on top. So that will support the center. Also, this is going to make it a little bit awkward to undo it, but I'm going to have to turn the whole thing upside down, undo all the screws, turn it back up the other way. So it would have been better for me to make these a little bit wider and screw through the side. There we go. Now, you'll also notice that I have a sheet of, well, this is actually a tarpaulin. So plastic tarpaulin over the top of my bench so that if I have a leak in this mold, it's not going to destroy everything underneath here, because the resin, once it's set, it's epoxy and it tends to hold on to just about everything. Okay, morning Dave and everyone from Michael House, Vicky, Binky, nice food last night, Peter. Oh yeah, great night out. Not. John, happy birthday to your country. Bianca, hi. Yes, it is. Okay, Skip. Ordinary woodworker, hi from Portland. We'll try again. Yes, we shall. Here we go. All right, put the mold up here. Now, remember also last week that I set the mold to have, I'm just making sure I'm going right in the center. That's pretty good. Actually, this wide screen is probably going to be better for this particular job. Now, last week, the reason this is so reflective is I've covered the whole mould with contact, and all around the edges I sealed with a caulking compound. And then last night I also got the vacuum cleaner out and went over the whole thing with a brush just to get all the dust up and out of there. Now, it's not really a big issue. The reason being, I'm going to be surfacing this when it's all finished, flip her over and surface the other side, and I'm going to do some other interesting things to it later on. This is not your standard pour. This is a Dave Stanton pour. So it's going to be, you know, over-engineered, but we're going to have fun. Now, what I need to do next is to put the pieces in place. So you'll see here, I have written on each piece. I spent a bit of time and had a look at it and thought, you know, this is where I would like the pieces to be. So this is the top, that way up, and the back, there's an arrow pointing, so it's going to be at the back of the mold. Now you'll also see I've drilled a heap of holes all the way around. Now the resin I'm doing is not going to be clear. I'm going to do a blue pigment, yes, to match my shirt. Vicky doesn't like the blue, but bad luck, I do. You're not seeing any increased temperatures. Well, yeah. Outside at the moment it's 8 degrees. I had to heat the room up in here to do the pour, so it's 19 degrees in here. Anyway, what I've done is I've cleaned all of the bark off the edge. Now, bark will not hold on to resin. I want this particular resin is rigid, which means it's fine for doing this kind of a table, where a lot of people call it a river table. Basically, it's chunks of wood held together with epoxy. So these holes are basically, instead of using dowels to join, I'm going to let the resin flow in there. And what I've done also with the resin, or with these holes, I've drilled them in at an angle facing up, so they're not going to entrap air, which is very important. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bead of cork around on the underside of this, then lower it down and press it in. You'll notice also there's a hole just here. That was a bit of what's called pith. So it's the center of the tree. So this was a log that's been kind of shaved off at around 30 degrees. So I'm going to put a little bit of caulking compound around that. I also ran the drill down through the middle of that so it didn't pull up bits of rubbish that were loose. That's all good fun, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to use a powered gun to do this and see how we go. Now the reason we're doing this is so any of the resin that might want to flow underneath here at this stage won't be allowed to. It's going to act as a seal. Like so. And hopefully it'll work. All right, so I have a full perimeter dam, or bead, I should say, around underneath. One degree up at Toomby, eh? Oh, Tony. Okay, so here we go. That's written top back. And I'm going to slide it in position. I can't go sliding it around sideways. I've got to put it in and just do a drop down neatly. Maybe switch to another camera so you guys can see what's happening. Oh, that one. Oh, that one's not good. I'll have to go to Carl Cam. Yeah, that one's going to work well. There. So now you can see, there we go. Now you can see I'm nearly up against the edge. That's fine. When I put pressure down on here, it's going to push that bead out for me. That's the plan anyway. And we'll see what happens. All right. Got a bit of goo on there. Now the next piece is going to be over here. So I'll go and grab that. I've got it sitting down here in the workshop down the end. Now this is going to end up being my drawing board. I've got an old drawing board machine. So I've got top front written on that. So it's going to drop in there quite nicely. And, you know, whilst the drawing machine works, I was thinking, you know what, why not? Why not make something that's really, really nice? Okay, here we go with the caulking compound. Or it might be just about empty. It's all right, I've got another one there that's ready in the wings if I run out. So for people watching on TVs, you're not going to be able to see anything as far as the chat's concerned. All right. Hey Dave, Lucy, how are you? All right, roll her over and then drop this one carefully in position. And that's where it's going to go because it's just fallen out of my hand. Great. I'm hoping that's going to seal. We'll come back to the front camera, even though the front camera is going to be a little bit boring. There we go. So that's the front part. Now I've got two more pieces to throw in. I'm going to put another piece here, another piece up the end there. And it's going to be really, really nice. The thing is, you have to think about how it looks as you're laying the boards out. Now this end here, it kind of went off into a sharp edge. So I got the jigsaw out and cut it to what I thought might look better with the whole job. And the other thing I did was I ran it through the drum sander to get rid of anything that is going to possibly annoy me a little bit and muck up, and also to give me a good indication as to how the job's going to look at the end. So it says top and right on this one, which means I have to spin it around this way and it's going to go in there. So we'll roll her over and we'll do the squeeze there. Oh, I think I'm going to be out of product, so I'll pull this out, put another one in. Yeah, she's had it, that one. Just tidying up this nozzle with side cutters. Okay, let's see how we go. Don't break. It's not looking too hopeful, is it? No, that one's too old. Get rid of it. We'll go another one. Lucky I had a spare. I'm just climbing over some cameras and things here at the moment. Round the other side. That's another thing. You may not be aware, but if you get tubes, you hate the colour, hey? If you have these kind of things sitting in a cupboard and thinking one day you might use them, they do go off after a while. I should really sharpen this, shouldn't I? Wow, that's a hell of a... I've been cutting stuff in the ground with this. That's unbelievable. Give me a second. Got it. Okay, and the nozzle, we'll cut a little bit off that. Cool. This should work. 50 years old, David. Hell's bells, I remember that. Let's see how this one goes. There she goes. I'll turn the speed up a little. That's better. See the difference? And around this one. Ha! All right. Place it gently. Yeah, so this saves a whole lot of resin going underneath and being a pain. Right. All the way to the end and down. And push. Cool. Another camera. Let's see it from the side. I'm getting a lot of flicker. I'll show you what I mean. I'm getting a frequency muck around, so I'm not really going to leave it at that. We'll go to Carl Cam again. That's going to be easier to see it. Push it in a little. That's looking pretty cool. All right, now we've got a space here, of course. So let's go crazy with that. Have a quick drink. All right, again, all of the holes are pointing upwards. This is the last piece, and it's going to go down here. So let's put some glue on that. You might wonder why I'm not going right to the edge, because it's going to have squeeze out. And I don't want it squeezing out past the edge of this particular piece. Let's drop this in. Now this one also is a fair bit thicker, and it doesn't worry me. The reason being, it's going to be machined on the CNC. The whole surface of this is going to be machined on the CNC. Excellent. Right, now, come to the front camera again. How's that looking? That's not too bad. Now, the other thing about using that to seal underneath the pieces is that it's going to hold them steady while I do the pour. I'm not putting clamps down or weights or anything like that. One of the other reasons is because I'm only going to do a very thin pour as my first pour. I'll also do another pour possibly tomorrow over the top, and maybe do the whole thing all the way up to the surface. Because it's not a clear pour, I'm using an opaque colour. We should be okay. Morning, Colt. is the bench is flat and base's mould is flat, why would the middle of the mould sink? Because of what I said at the beginning, Russell, it's up on the screw heads. There may be deflection in the actual board, because this is a fair size. This is 1.5. This is 5 feet long in the old talk by 2.5 feet wide, and that's a fair span for something that's only 16 millimeters thick. And also we're going to be putting extra weight on it. These things are going on it, so you know, that's why. So Cole had a good show today. I didn't have time to check in. Having a quick look under there. Give it a bit of a thump to squeeze that goo out. There, oh, that's better. That is much better. I'm going to get the rubber mallet. See, thinking all the time. Ah, beautiful. How's that? All right, I'm going to start mixing up the resin, and the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to use one container. Now this is a 1 litre container or a 4-cup container. So on the back it's got 1 litre, but it's got graduations up the side. Now the stuff that I'm using is a 2-to-1 mix. So I was doing quick read there. So 2 resin to 1 hardener. I have some other stuff there as well that is a cap full of hardener per every litre of resin. I haven't used that before. I don't want to do a test with that. I have used this before. I'll use the other stuff on another project behind the scenes. We'll see how we go. But this I'm going to fill up to 600 ml with resin and then top the rest up to 900 ml with hardener. Now, there are instructions on this stuff, and they say don't get in your eyes, don't breathe the fumes. I'm in a sealed room today because it is cold. It's got to be above 15 degrees Celsius to be able to use this stuff. I'm not outside. If I was outside, I wouldn't worry as much about, you know, all the fumes floating around. So I'm going to be very careful with this. I'm going to wear my mask, you know, the big alien head thing, and I'm going to wear gloves. So let's get started with all of that. And we'll pour the resin in first. Now I've got to mix it for 4 minutes. Now, during that time, we can have a bit of a chat. So let me get these happening first. What are the figures like? How many people are watching? You're feeling young again, are you? It's curious because there's a lot of people don't like resin work, and I understand that. But I'm curious to see how many people are actually tuning in to have a quick watch. I was talking to Derek about these helmets the other day. He doesn't like his because it holds onto his head a little bit too tight, gives him a headache. It doesn't worry me. You know, no brain, no pain, do you reckon? But I'm going to use it whilst I'm doing this. So you'll hear the noise, 112, Derek. You'll hear the noise of the motor because there's a motor up in the back here. It's going to blow cold air over my face after it's pulled through the filters in the top of the helmet here. All right. All good. 600 ml. There's 600. Now I may mix up 3 batches today, and that's fine. Maximum depth on this particular product is 20 millimeters, but I'm not going to go that deep. There are other types that do all sorts of things, but this is a rigid mix. Let me just get this poured, this mixed. And when I do the... Okay. You know, when it comes out, you look at it and you think, have I got the right stuff? Am I putting the right stuff in or not? Okay, I'm going to stir it. I'm using a flat paddle, and I'm not going to do it fast. They say 4 minutes now. It's 25 past, or 26 past, so 11:30. They say if you do it fast, you're going to introduce a whole heap of bubbles. Now it will go clear eventually. Peter, this is camphor laurel. It's classified as a weed really in the Blue Mountains. But it's a pretty nice weed, I reckon. I don't know what size the helmet is. I'll have to have a look for you, Kiwi. The timber's really nice. What I'm doing here with the resin now is I'm raising and lowering the stirrer and changing direction. No, they're both shut, both closed. I'm going to wait till the resin's just about done. Now the resin's starting to go clearer. We're 2 minutes into the stirring and I can see it's starting to look clearer. Because at the beginning it went a little bit milky. You guys won't see that from where you are, but I can see it. The hardener is slightly, it's slightly thicker viscosity than the resin. And that's looking pretty good. Now, as I was saying before, the reason I'm using this particular one, it's not a deep pour. They've got, the same company's got deep, which you can pour up to 50 millimeters thick, but it hasn't got the same mechanical strength as the rigid's got. And the rigid is the stuff that I'm using because I want that mechanical strength. I don't want anything separating. Now that's looking pretty good. 11:29. I think I might add the colour. Now if I leave that up on the edge, don't slide down. All right. Now this colour is called Ocean Blue. See that? And it's kind of a powder. It's very... I might go to Cargill for this. I don't want the resin to go off, so I've got to be careful here. I'm going to use about that much and see how we go and keep stirring. I'm holding onto the side to get a feel for the temperature. It's not hot at all at the moment, which is great. If it starts to get warm, you're in trouble. Now the metallic part tends to be sitting up the top. I need to come down and have a look through the side. Okay. Someone asked why the holes. Okay, I reckon that's ready for the first pour. Get this to sit it in. All right, here we go. All right, now that's going to keep running, and we're going to mix up another batch. All right, put in 600. Yep. And take it up to 900. And start stirring. And the time is 11:33. I think this is going to be nice. What I did do at the beginning is I set everything dead level. So I had my level here. What do you reckon? I think it's going to be magic. See, I didn't have to use a lot of that pigment. I'm reading through. I can't believe what good condition Selma's in. Mine is worn out from using it when mowing. Scratched, elastic's gone. Still using it, but getting hard to see. 4 to 3M. This one works great. I've had this for about 7 years. Now, John Lafferty made a battery for me because the batteries that came with were NiCads, and so he made one that was a lithium-ion battery pack, and it works great. How are we doing for time? 35. What time did I start, guys? What time did I say? I think I'll give it at least 2 minutes. No, this stuff doesn't go off quickly. This takes a long time. In 9 hours' time, this will still be still be fluid. 11:33. Okay, I'm going to go slightly more in the pigment this time. Thank you. So we've got another minute to go. Looking cool. Still feeling the side of the pot. Hey Planty, how are you? So I'm going to do one more pour after this at least. And then I'm going to do some interesting things with it as well. So that into there, and we'll start pouring down this end and let it run. That's great. Excellent. I am a good stirrer. Okay, now I need to do one more. I'll go to the other camera. Have a look at that from the side. Doesn't look too bad at this stage. We'll go to Carl cam again. And you can see what it's looking like from up above. This will be the last, take us up to 3 litres. See, there is an advantage to not pouring it all in one hit. Just taking your time. What's it like over in the northern hemisphere as far as temperature is concerned at the moment? I believe it's, unbelievable heat wave stuff that you're getting, which is not fun. We experienced that here as well. 150 new fires. I didn't even see that in. Last couple of days caused by dry lightning, record heat last week and very low humidity. Going to be a long summer. Nathan, yes, there are air bubbles, but we don't need to worry about those quite yet. Now, that's another little thing that I'm going to discuss very soon. How many pours do you have planned in total? 1 today, 1 next week. Love the colour, perfect choice, at least to my eye. Okay, so Kiwi, what I'm going to do is I'm doing these 3 today, and then I'm going to leave it sit overnight, and I'm going to pour it right up to the top tomorrow. And I'll run the corking compound around the top here as well so it can't wash over. they say 20 millimeters in one pour. I've come up around about 6, maybe 7, but I'm going to come up a little bit. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to paint it up the sides to act as a seal so that I don't get bubble release from the timber itself. Record of 113 Fahrenheit. That's just silly, isn't it? That's very... I forgot to look at the time. I'm hoping someone's timed me. I'm guessing if I do this for another 2 minutes, we'll be good. It's amazing how sore your fingers get when you're just doing one task. My thumb is getting really sore, you know, just in the meat down here, part of it. Oh, I've relaxed the grip on the stirrer and it's not as bad. This is going to be beautiful. Now there's little tricks as well. Okay, now I can put the bit more colour in. I like this colour. It'll be interesting to see how it goes as well as the resin cures, whether it maintains this particular colour or whether it goes dull at all. I've seen, you know, it's like when you put a coat of oil on some timber, it looks really, really smick when you've first done it, and then step away from it, you think, hello, what's happened here? It's gone dull, and then you have to give it another coat, and then you build it up, and finally it's there. I'm feeling the side of this again. It's not too bad. Start at 11:39. Thank you very much for that. So we're right on the time now. That's looking great. Okay. Keep pouring. It does self-level. Okay, right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this stirrer to mix it up. Getting a lot of bubbles there, but that's okay. I went to itch my nose, and of course, not going to happen. All right, next thing I want to do is use a brush, and I'm going to brush it up the sides. What I'm trying to achieve here is to seal the wood for when I do the final coats, which is going to be tomorrow. I think that's got it. Have I done? No, I haven't done all of there. Okay. Cool. Put that over there. That one is going to go off. And now I'm going to let that sit there for a bit. Give me a second. I'll come back to here and we'll go to the front camera. I shouldn't have really shut that down, but there we go. All right. Let me read. We had our bushfire experience, yes. Understand it's going to mill the timber back later. Correct. We are safe here in Pentagon. Peter, I was evacuated last year over here in Perth. Fires moved so fast during the night and surprised us all. We had the fires in the backyard here. I did post that was in November 2019. Vicky and I were down at the Canberra Wood Show, and that was very scary. Oh, I might put a bit of resin down those holes. Nearly forgot. I've got a little bit left here to pour down. One. Two. I think that's the only holes that I've got there. Any more I can get in the next one. All good. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, next thing to do, a little bit of gas. Move my phone out of the way. Just knock some bubbles out. Doesn't take much. Give them all pop. Now I've learnt before not to leave the torch on too much because it can have an effect of starting to set the resin off and then you're in trouble. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. I'm very, very happy with it. One of the other things you need to do is make sure, as I was saying, get the thing dead level. There you go. Can't get better than that. It's level both directions. If you don't get it level, once you've done your pour, you might think, oh yeah, that's all good. And then if it's at a slight angle, it's just slowly going to seep. Now, what do I need next? I need to check underneath to see if I've got any leaks whatsoever from the mold. Nothing, nothing, Nothing. Down the back there, nothing as well. Oh, I've got a couple of bubbles there. I've got to knock those out. Gone. Right, now I did say I was going to show a viewer's project. Okay, I'm going to take this off now. And throw this one on. There we go. You only get one body. Let's look after it. You know, I keep saying to people about guards on table saws, all that kind of stuff. You only get one go. Don't stay safe. Just stay safe. Okay, let me see. What have we got? Bianca, looking good, Dad. Thanks, Pink. Sounds the helmet colour of the resin match the sounds near the sea. Of course it does. Thanks, Dave. It's looking great. Yes, it is. Darth Vader. Yes. Now, what was I going to do? That's right. I was going to show you the resin pours from one of the sender-inners. So this is James. Hi, Dave. Some projects I've done recently with resin. Let's have a look at those. That's not a bad looking table, is it? That's a pretty good colour he's chosen too. And the next one. Regards, James. Those in Breezy Corpse on YouTube. There's a little round one. And there's another table. They look pretty cool. Alrighty, I've never seen one that's got it basically end grained like this. So this will be really cool. I'm hoping it's going to come up really well. Now, Bob has written in, Bob Durderin. Didn't get to watch lives. It comes at an inconvenient time for me being halfway around the globe. No matter that, it's the miracle of YouTube, and I can watch when it suits me best. Funny you mentioned the blade drawer. I built a drawer for my TS blades years ago that sounds similar to what you plan to do. Have a look, and I'm sure you can improve on what I did. Well, maybe not. I have 9 blades for my table saw and radial arm saw, and the drawer has 9 slots. So when the blade comes off the saw, it goes right in the drawer and does not get set down on a tabletop or anywhere else. Less handling and less chance of damage. And he's given me the link. I put the link in the description box down the bottom. Hat hair, eh? Yeah. Yes. Well, sorry, can't do anything about that. I was looking madly around for a brush. Can't see any. Okay. Well, you know what? I think that might do us for today. I am super happy with this. I'll do another shot from above. You can have a quick look at how it's looking. How nice is that? It's going to be beautiful. It really will. And from camera 3, let me see if I got camera 3 on its own. There you go. I'll get this and I'll move it around a little bit so you can see down the length of it. Yeah, so when I'm designing something, this will be my drawing board. I'll set the drawing machine up on this as well, so it'll have a track that runs across underneath and an arm down here and a big square. So when I'm drawing stuff on here, it'll just be nice to look at that. And I've got some other things planned as well to make this a little bit kind of 21st century. All right, okay. Today is going to be one of those days where we're going to finish early. Love the resin work. Kind of sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. Looking great, Dave. Have a good run. Brush loader with blue resin. Looking good. How about an update on tomorrow's pour? I can do that. I might even put a post on Instagram or on Facebook. If you follow me there, you can see all of that. Just check in.
If you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel. Only subscribers are allowed to jump into the chat session. So if you're wondering why you can't do it, well, that's why. That's about it. There we go. That's the rest of it. It's going to be an early day. Look after yourselves. Be nice to each other. And I shall see you next week. Don't forget, patrons chat right after the show.